Welcome, everybody. I've got Steve with me, and he is the tournament director for the Star Wars CCG Retro League, which I played in from the Premier to Hoth format. So we're here to cover the next round, which is Premier to Cloud City. So we want to talk a little bit about the meta. You'll see we got a bunch of red cards here. We're going to talk light side and dark side. What are some interesting cards that are additions to this? So going all the way to Cloud City is the first 5 sets. So you got a little bit more flavor than just 4. Yes, five.
Five.
Yeah, five. I think it was 4.
5 full-size sets, yeah.
Yeah, so you got a little more flavor. You got some more mains, some more characters. So we're here to kind of quickly go through some cards to take note of in this format and some interesting ones. I see Landing Claw, one of my personal favorites of creating the most annoying Super Falcon in the world. But let's kind of go through it, Steve. Thanks again for hanging out, man.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, what I'll say is I wanted to kind of highlight a mix of cards that you should know about for beginners who are getting back into this. That your advanced players are obviously well aware of some of these, but some cards that people should know about if they're getting back into this, as well as a few like obscure ones that I think could be interesting, or might not be, but I think we're worth taking a look at. I will note that this is Premier through Cloud City with a ban list. So I think we'll be posting in the show notes the link to sign up for this league event, which will include all the rules and the ban list. The ban list are cards that the community has decided, mostly cards from Dagobah, 1 or 2 from Cloud City, that created a very negative play environment. So what we're actually playing here is going to be the first time playing Premier through Cloud City without some of these abusive cards. It'll probably be quite different feeling than back in '97 when these sets first came out. But anyway, yeah, so let's go through this. Like I said, staples as well as some, I think, interesting cards to at least think about running. I did not include the main characters like the new Princess Leia or Captain Han Solo or Son of Skywalker or Yoda. You guys know those cards are good. You guys know that they're out there, so we'll skip those. But yeah, let's begin with light side. Landing Claw. All right, this is a pretty well-known card, but it's definitely one that if you're getting back into this game, you need to be thinking about running and thinking about how to deal with it. It essentially makes one of your starfighters like an undercover spy. It'll latch on to a capital starship and be concealed there, and then can block 4 strands. So this is a pretty cool card to run, and it's pretty much used from here on out in every meta, particularly for decks that have, let's say decks that aren't going full space, but have a limited space package to do you want to block a key dark side force without risking your ships where there's a bunch of Star Destroyers. Great card to have. This next one, Advantage. This is I've run this card from time to time in the past, and I think it's a cool card. It basically says if your character ability greater than 3, just if an opponent's character of ability greater than 3 just lost in a battle or duel you won, you put it on that character, they get more powerful, and then your opponent loses 1 or 2 force every turn. So yeah, you're going to have a character survive a battle where your opponent just lost one of their big characters. That makes it a little bit difficult because in this meta, who's ability greater than 3? Well, it's pretty much like Vader, Zuckuss, Jasper. That could be it. So yeah, it's a narrow number of dark side characters, but if you can succeed in bumping off Vader, and you've got pretty much just like one of the Luke Skywalkers, maybe Princess Leia there, you could be making your opponent lose some force for a while. So that's I think a cool card to think about running. This next card, Chasm, I don't know how much this will be played, but I think it's worth thinking about. It was designed to counter decks that run like many copies of the same main character, principally Darth Vader. So, or maybe Grand Moff Tarkin as well. But if they have the card on table and they're in a battle and they draw Destiny and that card comes up, then the Destiny is 0, the card is lost, and you either have to lose 2 force or lose that character. That's it's a pretty high reward. I don't know how much it's going to come up, but it's worth thinking about. There's a dark side version also, which I did not put. We'll get to dark side in a minute, but there's also a dark side version of that card too.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is mirrored in this format, where there's a light side, there's a dark side version.
Yep. Okay. Do or do not. This next card. This is really well known. This was one of the first attempts to really put to really try to counter Sense and Alter. To make Sense and Alter lost interrupts, and if the card succeeds in countering one of your opponent's cards, then when it counts with kind of one of your cards, that player loses 2 force. A history lesson: this card is not enough to make people stop writing Sense and Alter, but it does begin to even the scales a little bit. So yeah, I think you're probably gonna want to run this. It's not as good. This card is not as good as later on when you have starting interrupts to allow you to start with this card on the table. But I think there's no reason why you won't want to have a couple of these in your deck. Haven. This is a card. Just think about this one for a second. It makes your starships deploy and pilots deploy quite cheaply here, and add a destiny at a particular system. So yeah, think about this one if you're running a light side space deck. I think there might be some builder on potential with this.
Yeah, I always like. I mean, it pairs well with Hidden Base, which obviously is not in this format, but
yeah,
I think it's a fun card.
Yeah, it gets better later on, but this is it's a cool card. This next one, No Disintegrations, is one of these like cards that it's kicking around the back of people's binders, and I think it's really undervalued and underrated. I think one person played it against me maybe last year. It just totally wrecked my deck. Look at this. I mean, if a rebel of ability less than 2, I'm sorry, a rebel of ability greater than 2 is lost, not captured during a battle involving an opponent's bounty hunter, opponent loses 3 force. So beginning with this meta, you're going to see a lot more bounty hunters, and we'll get to them on the dark side page in a second. And capturing is highly impractical, especially now. There's very few cards that can capture that do it in any efficient way. So usually people are going to be lost. And so then your opponent has to lose 3 force if you get the bounty hunter there. And if Vader is on table, one bounty hunter in the battle is also lost. Now, Vader is everywhere, so there's a good chance he's on the table. Yeah, this card could really cause huge problems, I think, for the dark side player, depending on their build. So something to think about. This next card, Uncontrollable Fury. This card is really good because if you can get this out, it really screws up Darth Vader. I mean, it does make him power +2, but the original Premier Darth Vader, which is the only one you have available to you right now, not counting the 2-player game Vader, it turns off his main game text of adding 1 to Battle Destinies. Tarkin is no longer able to cancel a destiny with him, and opponent loses 2 force at end of each opponent's turn, which Vader did not battle, and you had a character of ability greater than 3 on table. So you park your Yoda on Dagobah, you park Obi at this hut, and until Vader can come in and start battling, yeah, you're gonna be losing 2 force. Dark side player 2 force every turn. This is a really good card right now. This next one, What Is Thy Bidding, My Master? This one I put in here just to kind of think about. I don't know how good it is, but because you don't have Emperor yet to play it on. But you could put on a system if you're running a space deck and target one character whose lore uses the word Emperor, like Premier Darth Vader. And so then target cannot use the ability to draw Battle Destiny and is excluded from being the highest ability character for Sense and Alter. So that could, I don't know, that seems interesting to me. I don't know I've not seen it run very often, but worth thinking about. Anything that can like turn the tide on Darth Vader and Sense and Alter seems useful.
I mean, that's like one of the things I found in this format, Premier to Hoth at least. Darth Vader is just by far the best character.
Yeah.
By like a magnitude of 2, and it's really definitely hard to counter him.
Yes. Clash of Sabers is a staple from here on out in the game. You use it to prevent a character one opponent's character present with your character with a lightsaber from battling or moving until end of your next turn. That end of your next turn part is really crucial because that means not this turn, not your opponent's next turn, and not your next turn either. That timing is something that can screw up new players or new players. So
got an eager dog to play as well.
Yeah, she's really feisty for some reason. And it can also search up a copy of Uncontrollable Fury, or cancel Presence of the Force. That's all good stuff there. All right. Control. This is like the classic. It comes out in this set. Cancel, sense, and alter, and is immune to sense on its own. So that's what it does. Gets in there and like makes you win those sense alter wars. It also can cancel force drain too. So yeah, you're probably going to mostly using it for the first part, but if your opponent has got some really obscene force drain bonus going on, yeah, losing this card as opposed to losing like 3, 4, 5 cards is much better.
Yeah, I mean, control for the force unit just feels like an easy thing to do. Like even if it's a force unit 2, it's still +1 card for you, right?
Particularly at the end of the game where every card counts, definitely.
Yeah.
Courage of a Skywalker. Okay, this card is going to be better on later, I think, when you when dueling actually becomes more of a thing, because dark side's not going to be able to duel very easily. But it's still kind of a cool card here. Your Skywalker, Luke or Leia, will at a site will lose immunity to attrition, but add ability to power. And he or she may not apply ability toward drawing battle destiny. So we've got some restrictions there, but losing the immunity to attrition is not that bad because Luke and Leia don't have very good immunity to attritions. But being able to add 4 or 5 to their power could tip things your way. So that's something to think about. I think the dark side version is better than this, but it's still kind of a cool card.
One thing I want to note on this list is there's very few characters on it because most of the characters are pretty forgettable. Like Lando is not good. You know, Yoda is
not good here. No.
You know, Yoda's like parked in his hut, but in general, yes. Cloud City was a weird set because it also had so many of these red tech cards that are a little more advanced gameplay and less like here's a big like powerful main. I guess you have Captain Hot. Which could be an option.
I didn't put them on the list in this because I figured they're kind of obvious, and I kind of wanted to focus the time on some of the other cards. Captain Han Solo is good. I should just say he's like, I mean, he's deploys on Hoth, Cloud City, or the Falcon, and yes, he's good. Princess Leia is situationally good, depending on if you're playing on Cloud City, which I don't know how often people are going to be doing. You may still want to run Leia Organa because she's a spy. Anyway, yeah, the mains are a little less important here. It's these red cards that are interesting. Off the Edge. This is a card that is one of those cards that if you're good at tracking, you can use this to retrieve tons of force. You have to be playing on Cloud City for it. It's not as flexible as On the Edge from Premier. But you can, this can be really good but you have to know how to track right. So this is kind of a high skill threshold card. Punch It is a cool. There's a lot of cards in this set that I didn't go through every single one that add destinies. If you've got Leia and Chewie, or the combinations of different characters and so forth. But this one is cool because it's just Han or Lando defending a battle on a starfighter, and that starfighter is usually going to be the Falcon. So it's usually going to give you 2 more battle destinies and making the Falcon immune to attrition. So that's really great if the Falcon is one of your only ships that's defending a battle. So this is a key part of the Super Falcon builds as well later on. Shocking Information, really good card because it's lets you fight back against scanning crew. So if opponent is looking through your hand, looking through your hand for any reason except for Monarch, they lose 4 force and the card allowing the scan. So this will hopefully be, the existence of this card will hopefully be enough of a deterrent that you don't see people running scanning crew as much, but maybe just pack a few of these in your deck just in case to see what people do. If you're playing
There's also that annoying alien that targets male rebels. I forget what her name
is. Mioneth, yeah.
She was insufferable in Premier to Hoth.
Yeah, so that I guess kills a Mioneth. No, it does not because it isn't a scan. So this is she looks through your hand.
Scan your
right. So she will. I think that they'll lose the 4 force, but they wouldn't lose Mioneth. It would only have to say scan, so scanning crew. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that, though, because I should know that. But yeah, worth running even if you're not sure how often you'll see scanning crews. It's a Destiny 5 card that you can cycle by doing the first part of the target location and turn off the scomp links there, which is meaningless, but lets you cycle a 5. Last light side card from the dark side is the Redemption. Yeah, this is sort of a maybe. I'm thinking about it. It's it's a mid-sized light side capital. It's maybe a little too expensive for its stats, but it allows your back of tank patients to deploy for free aboard. The big problem with back of tank is how expensive it is to use. You know, it costs 4 to deploy, and then you've got to pay the deploy cost to get the patient out of the tank, and then pay that deploy cost to deploy them again. With this ship, you can only pay that once. You pay to get them out of the tank, and then they deploy aboard for free. Maybe in some kind of a light side build that wants to save the pilots, this could be kind of cool. Worth thinking about. Let's say like spaceship build.
Mm.
All
right. Well, let's take a look at dark side, and we'll gloss over the ones that are basically mirrors of the light side. Which you're going to see the control there. You're going to see a few others. The sense and alter counters that are going to basically just be the same. That's one thing this game did, having 2 sides, is you always had, for many times, you had like a Rebel Leadership and Imperial Command, which are very similar cards, a little bit different there, but kind of mirror images of them.
Okay. So I'm starting off with the bounty hunters here. I did include characters in this one because I think the bounty hunters are worth talking about a little bit. These 4, Boba Fett, Bosk, Dengar, and Zuckuss, I think, are the stronger of the bounty hunters. I don't think IG-88 and 4-Alarm are particularly good. I mean, none of these cards are like great, I would say, but you can think about it. After Darth Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin, your dark side bench is kind of shallow in up to this point. Like, people are running Ozzel and Captain Mahdi and people, Admiral Mahdi, people like that. So I think in this meta, these guys have a place. Boba Fett, power 4, armor 5, so he's going to be hard to hit with the lightsaber, decently powerful. His deploy forfeit ratio is better than the other bounty hunters. He doesn't do it. I mean, he has 3 anything he pilots, and then Slave One, if you're going to run it, he does some stuff. Captives, bounty hunting is just really too hard to do, so that probably doesn't matter. But being able to fly, decent immune to attrition, and his stats, I think he's a good character to run. And I just love this. Look at this background, this art. This is like one of the most beautiful cards ever. Bosk. Okay, so he's interesting. He adds 1 to attrition against opponent battles, and he can reduce Chewie's forfeit to 0. Deploy 4, power 4. Yeah, I think he's all right. I think he could be worth playing. Dengar is going to be power +1 for each opponent's character present. So for deploy 4, you could get him up to above a power 4 pretty easily here, and he reduces Han's forfeit to 0, which is also pretty cool. I think Zuckuss is probably the best one of these guys, either Zuckuss or Boba Fett. Ability 4 is pretty good. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only other, you have Vader ability 6 and Jasper, which is a kind of vanilla bounty hunter at ability 4. So he's the only the third, I think, that can draw Destiny on his own. And yeah, he can also cause 1 alien to be forfeit 0. That's kind of cool. And he can move for free as a react. So yeah, I think there's good stuff with Zuckuss here. A little limited to attrition. Okay. Moving on to the red cards. Bad Feeling Have Eyes shows up in this meta, and this is a card that will be good from here on out. Kind of the theme of Dagobah and Cloud City are are control type cards. Cards that are like sort of grinding down your opponent, make your opponent harder to do their thing. So this one, it just makes all of Lightside's best characters deploy +2. So you hate it when your Lightside in this card shows up, because it makes it really hard. It makes these light side characters that are one of the best things with light side is they're a little bit cheaper to deploy. It brings them up in their deploy cost up to the level of like your dark side stuff, and they have lower power. So that's not good. Broken Concentration is an interesting card. I don't think you need to worry about anything related to Jedi testing. It's just too cumbersome until you get the objective mind, which you've learned. But the bottom part lets you use 2 force to move the top card of opponent's force pile to the top of their reserve deck. So this can mess up people's tracking very easily. And it's not an interrupt, it's one that sits on the table every turn. You can do that. 2 force is a little expensive, but I think this card was in the 1997 World Championship deck, the Dark Side one that won. I think it was used quite a bit at this time to mess up people's tracking. So something to think about if you're maybe you're worried you're playing against a more skilled opponent who's likely to track. I want to talk about Dark Deal for a second. I love this card. I think it's really hard to pull off in this meta, or probably any meta, at least until the very end of the game, perhaps. But its payoff is so high if you can do it somehow. You got to control the sector, Bestman Cloud City, and 3 other sites. But then if you do, at each Cloud City site, your power is +4 and your fortunes are +2. And unlike Walker Garrison, this is an effect that sits around. Is every turn you can do that. Immune to alter, but your opponent can cancel if they occupy 4 Bestman locations. So yeah, I don't know. Have you had any luck with this card ever before, Matt?
No, not really. I find it a little too situational, but it's a fun idea. But I've never successfully pulled it off.
I feel like it's like a proto objective. It's like the kind of like the tough requirement, that then the huge benefit if you so it's like them toying with the idea of objectives. I don't know. I think maybe the only way to do it is if you try to like play all the locations and control all of them in one huge turn, like maybe like troopers or something. But then just like to manipulate your hand to have that seems really tough. I don't know, but if you can do it, it would be so cool. So who knows?
Yeah, it's like flagship operations. If you can do it, it's cool. But getting out 5 sites for executors.
Yeah, exactly. I Am Your Father. This is a card that I wonder if it could possibly be good. The Destiny 6 is automatically makes you want to think about running it. So basically, Vader has to win a battle against Luke of the 6, so all the Lukes in this meta, and Luke has to survive, because if he doesn't survive, then not going to be deploying on him. But then after that, your opponent's going to lose 2 force every single turn, and Luke has power and forfeit 0 as in location as Vader. So your opponent's probably just going to want to lose Luke, but if they don't, then you can make them feel a lot of pain with this card. Okay, Imperial Decree is a card that I think becomes better once you can pull it with starting at interrupts, but it does, if you're playing a space deck, it's because you need to control planet site in 2 systems. You can have that balance, and particularly controlling the systems. Then you can just ignore Revolution and all opponents' force strength bonuses. So all their lightsaber bonuses, everything else they're doing with, you just ignore that. So that's a pretty cool card.
Yeah, I've always
Yeah.
auto include later formats. It's like just
Definitely.
include that as a possible starting package.
Yep. We'll skip There Is No Try because it's the mirror to do or do not. Control, mirror to control. Focus attack.
I was going to say control is just one of the best images in the game, I think.
Oh yeah, so cool.
If you love that, I think it's a great image. But
did they make a tournament foil this one?
I don't think so, but they should have. I think it's just an uncommon one. But
yeah. Focus attack is a bit like the card Courage of a Skywalker. Vader will lose immunity to attrition but add ability to power. So yeah, that again, if you have the right kind of mix of the deck where you have enough characters, it doesn't matter. The Vader has no immunity to attrition because you'll lose some scrub anyway, and you can already draw Destiny. You'll add an automatic +6 to your power. Could be interesting. I think it's probably better once you have dueling decks that can actually do things later on, because then you can also optionally add a Destiny to your duel total. But yeah, we're thinking about. Force Field. This is a cool card from here on out, because the one thing you hate is if Obi comes down with his lightsaber, or Luke with Anakin's lightsaber, and just draws those Destinies and kills Vader, makes him forfeit 0. Here, as a used interrupt, you can just prevent that from happening, cancel that targeting, or if we make it a lost interrupt and pay 3 force, you can cancel any targeting. So yeah, this is a good card to run for your Mans and Toys deck. Projective Telepathy is one that people probably know about, but yeah, if your opponent initiated a battle or force drain, they need to use 2 force or cancel that battle or force drain. Usually that's going to be used to cancel battles when your opponent has, they've done all the math in their mind. I'm going to deploy these characters. I'm going to keep 1 force left to battle. And then they do that, and nope, battle is off because you got this used interrupt in your hand. And Yep. Then, then they're stuck there, having not done the battle. Then you can, on the crack back, hit them with a beatdown next turn. So that's a fun card. And to use interrupt, so it keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Trooper Assault. This is kind of a fun pet card of me and my friends. You can make all your troopers power closer to beat attrition. I don't know if there's a good enough Stormtrooper or any kind of trooper deck that's available in this meta, but this card certainly makes me want to toy around with it. Used Interrupt Destiny 5. Put a bunch of these in your deck, try to dodge Grimtosh, and see what you can do with it. I think it could be fun to try. Maybe
yeah,
more
there's definitely a really good Raltier Ops trooper deck, but this you don't quite have enough good troopers. You kind of get those in like special edition Endor. You get a bunch of like random guys that had 20 seconds in the movie.
yeah, definitely with Ral Ops, this card is really good. Weapon Levitation. Yeah, this is a pretty useful card, and it'll be useful from here on out in the game. The light side, interestingly, the light side one doesn't come out till Jabba's Palace, so they only have the dark side one here. The used is just really useful because you can search your used pile and take a weapon into hand. So if you find a way to search your reserve deck and you can, for some other purpose, and you realize that Vader's lightsaber's not in there. It's either in your force pile or used pile, and depending when you play this, you might have nothing left in your force pile, so it's in your used pile. So that's how you get that weapon out. Or you can try to steal your opponent's weapons away, which is fun. For new returning players, just remember that if you're stealing a lightsaber that has to deploy on a particular named character, like Obi-Wan's lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber, which are the only character weapons you're probably going to see, you can steal them, but you can't use them by anyone who's not those people. So meaning the dark side can't use them because Vader's not Anakin, so he can't use Anakin's lightsaber and so on. Which is, I think, a mistake I made when I first got back into the game a few years ago. But yeah, still being able to steal it, deprive it of have them having it is good enough. And lastly, You Are Beaten is the mirror to Clash of Sabers, but with one key difference here. You can get that I Am Your Father into your hand, or you can cancel Uncontrollable Fury. That one lets you search for Uncontrollable Fury. This one can cancel Uncontrollable Fury, which could be nice to do so if you get hit with that. Okay, yeah, what do you think, Matt? Any thoughts on these?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reminded of how much I still think Darkside's stronger in this format because Dagobah was such a bad set for Lightside because Darkside got all these interesting bounty hunters. They got things like Executor for a space package, which isn't super viable. It's still too expensive to get down. But in theory, I still think Darkside's a little favored in this format. If I think they're favored in Premier to Hoth, and they're still pretty strong in Premier to Cloud City. Lightside gets a few tricks, but I think Darkside's still like 55 to 45 is how I would like it.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, I didn't put Executor in here. The Avenger's a good Star Destroyer that comes out in Dagobah. So there's some, most of you guys know those kind of like marquee cards. And the sites as well. Pay attention to the new 2-0s that are available, like Executive Meditation Chamber, Dagobah Cave for Darkside, Lightside's got it, Yoda's Hut, and so forth. Those are going to be good potential starting locations.
Yeah, I think this is a fun format that, it's definitely ramping up the skill. Like I think the cognitive load is a little higher for this format than Premier to Cloud Cities because there's so many of these red cards. It's like, wait, what does Clash of Sabers do versus Uncontrollable Fury versus, there's a little bit more knowing these cards. And since Cloud City was kind of notorious for being like, 60 rares, 45 of which were red cards. Dodge, Somersault. I mean, those are also, you could have included those, like Dodge, Somersault.
Sure.
Has a lot of like,
as well. Like when you get the special edition, you're going to get objectives, which are going to make the game a bit more linear for your first few turns. So you're still in that phase where the game isn't very linear. You're playing much more based upon what you get in your hand, which can make it challenging. So I think it's going to be fun and an interesting format to play.
Smokescreen, that's another great card.
Oh yeah, I thought about that one too. That's a good card.
I think this is gonna be a fun format. I unfortunately cannot play in this round, which I'm about, but I'll be back the next round. I just have a little too much going on with a baby at home. So Steve, thanks so much for going over the meta here.
Thank you.
Hopefully this is useful for folks. If you want to sign
Please
up
feel free
for
to argue with us in the comments if you think I got any cards
Andy,
wrong.
come after us.
Yeah, where's Andy?
But there is a sign up for the Retro League in the show notes here. You just want to click that more. You can see how to sign up if you want to play. We'd love to have more people. We had 70 plus in the last round, so we would love to see 100 total players throughout the year. That'd be awesome. Quite a cognitive load, speaking of which, for Steve to manage 100 people, but we'll see.
Fine, I'll handle it. I'm not Crash Gimp though. That could happen.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll catch you next time.